It's Sev again, and we're gonna do another reaction video. Let's see what it is. It says 2 plus 2 This must be a Marine Corps video. 2 plus 2 equals 5. Then it says 2 and 2 must see nominated as Best Short Film BAFTA Film Awards 2012. Well, congratulations. Let's check it out. I wanted to comment while it was happening, but I wanted to figure out what it was going to say. I'm really not sure what's going on there. But I like opening titles. Sometimes opening titles kind of give you an idea of maybe something about the film or whatever, and it adds to the art. In fact, I think titles are a whole separate art piece from the film itself. Um, I think the people who, maybe in larger movies, who create titles, like that's their skill. I think by that point it's beyond the director. It's beyond like most other people. Like that's their skill. That's on their resume. They are title creators. They're able to take what's needed to open the scene, or dictate like maybe how you should feel. You know, maybe it's like a foreshadowing. There's so much that can be done with titles, and I'm not sure what the bottom half of this title says, but I like how it started out. Let's see where it goes. See chaos. It's one of those tiny classrooms. I have no idea where. It's definitely not America. Kids are excited. It's probably like an all boys Catholic school or something like that, where they gotta wear uniforms. It's not military school. I suppose it could be. You know, and, I don't know. It's really hard to say. It just kind of looks bleak to me. You know, I mean, I guess if I was gonna react, like if this is my memory, for me, if I had to look back on this being my time in school, although my time in school was absolutely miserable, but I think this would have just been like the you know, the cherry on the top of misery, because this doesn't look. And I think that what these kids are doing is they're making the best out of what they have. You know, you get in situations where it's just miserable, but everyone around you that's also miserable, you bond together. So now the misery isn't so bad, and then actually after the misery is gone, it's usually quite funny. Or maybe that's just military people. I don't know. If it's not a military school, it might be a school of discipline. They don't play around in this school. They also don't paint much either. So, but that's good. You know, I'd rather go to a school that spends its money on education and not paint. Unless the education is also not very good here, and perhaps those boys have eaten this paint. God forbid it's lead. But that guy right there who just walked into the room demands respect. Those kids aren't playing around. This is not rehearsed. You know what I mean? Maybe it is for the film, but I mean, as far as you think about reality, if you've thought about situations like this, or perhaps you haven't, this happens. And, yeah. But, of all the discipline these boys must have, they failed to notice that they should have tucked their shirts in. Does it teach anything to boys these days? this guy is by the numbers. Whether if he does that in real life or not, it could be a monkey see, monkey do, or it could be do as I say and not as I do. But this guy is not playing around. He is going to do it by the number because he is raising these children almost as if they were his own.
دانش آموزان عزیز صبح بخیر. این مدیرتون است که صحبت میکنه. زیاد وقت کلاستون رو نمیگیرم. فقط میخوام اعلام کنم که از امروز تغییراتی در دروس شما رخ خواهد داد. معلمین گرامی این تغییرات رو به توجهتان میرسانند. درخواست من از همه شما عزیزان این است که با هوشیاری آموزش‌های معلم خود را آویزه گوش کنید. مطمئن هستم که شما هم برای خود و هم برای کل مدرسه افتخار آفرین خواهید بود. با تشکر.
It's hard to determine. I wanted to stop at each little segment and think about this. I think it's just because of the language spoken. It gives me that, and the way it looks, it gives me that, Eastern Europe, Russian, former Soviet Union, bleak, just before, I don't know, man. It does not look like a really happy place. And it looks cold. And the thought that comes to mind for me is that, I don't know, I just think of Chernobyl. If you've seen the film or you've thought of it, it's dark. It's pretty bleak. I'm not saying any of these people aren't happy. I'm not saying that they don't do some cool stuff. But for me, based on what I've experienced, I would find this to just be unsatisfactory and quite depressing, actually. And see, I was waiting for this because the title of the movie is 2 + 2 = 5, right? So we're thinking about what is this like? We're talking about tomfoolery or silliness or mistake. I don't know. But now we're talking about the discipline. That we're feeling this discipline. Americans are disciplined too, but maybe not. I don't know. I think like behind the Iron Curtain, we're talking about discipline from fear. And so this guy is going to possibly prove a point, maybe, because you heard the boys, we broke 2 + 2 = 5 on the chalkboard, and the boys are like, no. Well, let's see. Let's just see how this is going to be probably a manipulation of ideas to prove a point.
ساکت. نظم کلاس حفظ کنیم. این درس اولی.
I don't know what to say to this, Let's see.
امروزه 2 + 2 = 5. حالا تکرار کنیم. 2 با 2 میشه 5. 2 با 2 چند میشه؟ 5 میشه. بلندتر. 2 با 2 چند میشه؟
Oh, when it's making me think of making me think of like reprogramming, They break down people to reprogram. I know this is going, I should probably trade this out for the old tinfoil hat, but that's what it feels like. This is how they reprogram people, whether they're extremists or whatever they are. They ghost or gaslight them and do all kinds of weird stuff and make people think things that really, yeah. But again, I feel like this is probably going to prove a point. So there's hope.
5 میشه. بلندتر. چند میشه؟ 5 میشه. تکرار کنیم. 2 با 2 چند میشه؟ 5 میشه.
And then there's this kid. This is the leader in the revolution. This is the kid that's going to fight AI when it comes in the form of Arnold Schwarzenegger with a 4-ton. Was it 4 tons? I don't know. How big was Killdozer? That was a lot of weight. This kid's going to be like on the top of it with a flag to fight AI, because AI is kind of dumb like this too. You can ask AI some questions and think, AI, I think you're full of crap. And then you tell AI that it's full of crap, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you are right. And Anyhow, but this kid right here, you know, Terminator Salvation Day. But maybe it's just how I'm perceiving it.
چیزه؟ مگه 2 با 2 4 نمیشه؟
من دارم به تو میگم 2 با 2 5 میشه. پس چه
You don't buck the system. Bottom line. That boy is like, basically, you know, 2 plus 2 is not 5, sir. And sir over there is like, 2 plus 2 is 5. Do you understand me? 2 plus 2 is 5.
سوال نیست. فهمیدی؟
فقط فکر کردیم که
فکر نکن. نمیخواد فکر کنی.
You don't need to think. Makes mindless robots dystopian. It's so crazy. Telling you.
2 با 2 5 میشه. حالا بشین حرف نزن. دفتراتون رو باز کنین و بنویسین. 2 به علاوه 2
آقا اجازه 2 به علاوه 2 میشه 4.
Uh-oh. The uprising has begun.
وقتی همه چی 4 میشه چطوری ممکنه این عدد 5 بشه؟
اصلا کی به تو چیز حرف زدن داد؟ به چه عقلی من سوال میبری؟
You know, it's funny, this guy's all like tough. Do I give you permission to speak to me? That's how bullies are. But you know what? Bullies are chicken. Beep. And you know what? I bet you if that kid stood up to him and just kicked this guy in the shin, he'd cry like a little...
آقا فقط میخواستم بگم
2 با 2 5 میشه. تکرار کن.
ولی آقا روی تخت
تکرار کن.
Oh yeah, the kid's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever you say. 2 plus 2 is 5. You know, hey, that's what you think. You keep on thinking that.
2 به علاوه 2 4.
You will not commit to 2 plus 2 is 4. And this kid's like, don't listen to him. I don't know who's in charge of the uprising now. Maybe they're going to tag team. Like 1 kid on each side of the room.
همتون میدونین که 4 میشه.
تخته رو نگاه
تو
کن.
هم که میدونین 4 میشه چیزی نمیگی.
سکوت. چون نخور تو برگردن.
Those kids have rocked the boat. And you know what? That teacher is about to jump ship. You gotta go out in the hallway and probably have a cigarette and think about this for a second, because who knows, maybe he wasn't even in agreement of it. But because of how things are dictated sometimes, and the falsities and baloney messages that are put out there, they're told to come and go or do whatever and teach things that are absolute baloney.
چکش بابا.
Those are the kids right there. Like, you know, they're all ready for an uprising, but when it's in their turn to be a part of the uprising, they decided that no, they aren't going to be a part of the uprising. They kind of leave you hanging there by yourself. But you know what? You could persevere. And let's see if this kid does that.
تو درسم بندازی. خیلی افتمش کردم میاد پدرشو در میاره.
It's like at that point, the kids have worried about themselves. What's right and what's right for me. What's right for everyone. What's right for us. And what's right for me. It's not about me. You know what I mean? It's about what's right. And that's what this kid is standing up for. You know what I mean? The other kids are like, but it's right for me. I need to protect me. I don't know if that's a coward or lack of teamwork or what it is, but let's see what happens.
این دانش آموز فکر کنه از همه بهتر میدونه. خیلی روش زیاده. بگو ببینم پسر 2 با 2 چند میشه؟
So now he's brought backup in. And you know what? They have little red bands on their arm, meaning they're like the hallway monitors. I'll tell you what, if you've ever had to deal with hallway monitors, they're evil, you know, and you know, if you gotta go to the bathroom and or you're late for class, and you know, one of those red armband tough guy hallway monitors stop you. Where's your pass? Stop. You go to the principal's office.
آقا اجازه 4 میشه آقا.
شنیدی؟ باورتون میشه؟ این دانش آموزان از ممتازترین دانش آموزان مدرسه‌ام. الگوی این مدرسه.
They're the top students of propaganda. Propaganda.
یه ذره از اینا یاد بگیرید. بگیم اینا. 2 با 2 چند میشه؟
You know why I would do well to act like them? Because they're towing the line. They're towing the line of nonsense. And it makes them better in the moment for them. But in the long term, they're just losers. They're losers because they're towing the line for this guy or whatever his agenda is above him. Everyone's towing the line to spread these falsities. And you know what's so crazy is if you tell a lie enough, you begin to believe it yourself. And let's see what happens.
آقا اجازه 5 میشه آقا.
آفرین. اینجا پسر.
These gentlemen, these boys, they're being taught to lose the ability to think critically, to question, to seek facts, to think on their own, to be independent. And again, they're towing the line. They're towing the line of insanity.
حالا حاصل جمع چند میشه؟ جواب سعید بنویس.
Everyone knows there in that room what this means. Basically, it's a firing line, you know what I mean? This kid's going to be put to death if he doesn't also toe the line. The threat of death, the fear, is what drives these kids to do this stuff. You know what I mean? To be a part. And they're almost just like self-preservation and survival. But nothing's going to change.
این آخرین فرصته.
Do it. Heck yeah. He's a leader. This kid is going to change the world. But essentially he's become a martyr. Because he's got to survive through this to lead the others to the same conclusion he's come up with. And sometimes that's what it is. It just takes one person to change the world. What this reminds me almost is that, was it a Nike commercial or the Macintosh commercial? I don't know. The 1984 commercial, that dystopian thought process, you know. Again, you know, it's not too far from the truth. You know, a lot of people have lost the ability to question or think critically or to seek facts, you know. Let's see what happens. I don't know if this is symbolism or what, but it doesn't look like that kid, I don't think he did too well. And so now it struck fear in the rest of the classroom. That's hard to get out from. Fear is really, really strong, especially when it's used in this way of manipulation. It also doesn't help that the frequency that they're playing is in part of the sounds is a little bit disturbing. If you know anything about frequencies, I don't know which one that is, but it's not the relaxing frequency you turn on at night to have lucid dreams and be happy. In fact, it's hurting my ears quite. It's not nice.
خب کسی دیگه هم هست که درس امروز نفهمیده باشه؟
what he's doing there. He's looking at the first kid. That kid who stole it first. And then the other kid was like, he stood up too. But I think they're independent of each other. They're just two different people who weren't gonna like be a part of this nonsense. But the kid who was he laying on the floor? I can't tell. But yeah, basically the kid who became a martyr and died for the cause is also used as an example to tell others what their fate would be too if they also do not toe the line or be active in this participation of chaos.
نگاه کن. بریم بیرون.
That's symbolic right there. You know, he used the eraser. You notice the blood kind of disappeared too? Blood would not disappear from a chalkboard. Not that I have experience from that, but I'm just saying. It's symbolic of something. I can't find the words for it. Yeah.
دفتراتون رو باز کنه بنویسید. 2 به علاوه
Said open your books and write this down. Let's double check. Open your notebooks and write this down. It's almost like they're changing history right before their own eyes. They're an active participant in chaos.
دفتراتون رو باز کنه بنویسید. 2 به علاوه 2 مساوی 5.
It makes me think though, it's like, how often does this happen in, humankind? How many times has 2 plus 2 equaled 5? You know what I mean? How many times have we been told things that were maybe not quite true? I don't know how that might affect us now. But during times of when this might have been important, such as here in this dystopian environment, it's obviously important for the time being. But it's sad because how humans manipulate each other for an agenda. I'm not sure it's going to say what or why, but the overarching thing here would suggest, what I say is law. And what you think, not important.
همینطور که می‌نویسین تکرار کنید. 2 با 2 چند میشه؟ 5 میشه. چند میشه؟ بلندتر چند میشه؟
5 میشه.
بلندتر چند میشه؟
5 میشه.
بلندتر چند میشه؟
5 میشه.
چند میشه؟
5 میشه.
2 با 2 5 میشه. تکرار.
That right there, to me, is symbolic of change. The kid knows it's wrong, but he's going to document it. You know what I mean? It's not like document on film. It's documented in his little numerical hieroglyphics. The moment of change. The moment of the uprising. Anyhow, that's my reaction and review. I think it's a pretty good one. There's a lot to dissect and look through on that. It might not have been every little scene change or everything about this, but I think overall that it has a message. And I hope you garnered something from that. Anyhow, I'm Seth, and I'm out of here.